Hi students, today you are all wearing very beautiful dresses. Are you interested to know how these dresses are made, how these dresses are designed? Then let us have a discussion about this one, how apparels are being designed. So, designing apparels is both functional and creative. Apparel designing is more a generic term that includes the entire process of designing. It is influenced by cultural and social attitudes and has varied over time and also place. It is the art of applying design, aesthetics and imparts natural beauty to the wearer through clothing and its accessories. It is more technical in its essence and incorporates things like concept designing, evaluation and the final product. Today, the apparel markets are flooded with lot of varieties of branded and unbranded items as the customer look for new items for every purchase. More than the price, the customers are looking forward for variety consisting of different fabrics, colors, textures, styles, designs and so on. Therefore, designing as per the taste of the today's customer is becoming more and more complex to the designers. Apparel designing is not only creative, but requires many other skills such as knowledge about fabric, garment making, current fashion trends, about the customer and their habits and their activities and all other things. And to become a good designer, one should possess qualities like an innate sense of creativity that is very important to become successful in the fashion world. Besides, artistry and imagination can provide a strong instinct essential to come up with beautiful apparel designs befitting the customer. Strong drawing skills are preferable as the designer needs to put his or her thoughts in the form of a design on paper. The skills of sketching the figure types, garment parts, rendering with different colors, textures and all these things are required, and they can be easily acquired also, there is no problem, through a short term practical training. Good eye for detailing the important elements like textures, the flounces, the drape of the garments, and envision the pleats falling on a skirt or a blouse, cinching at the waist, etc. is an added advantage to the designer. The skill of detailing cannot be ignored as it makes a design more unique and acceptable. Knowledge about different types of fabrics, colors, textures and their drape is essential as the design mood or concept needs to be translated into the final garment. The techniques of garment making should also be known for making the design more functional and practical. And there should be a capacity to the designer to visualize the final product when it is made, and then he will be able to make it very successful when he has the capacity to visualize the final product before actually making the garment. This enables her to communicate her ideas to her consumers and then her team members also. Good communication skills are vital in fashion field to satisfy the customers and also apparel manufacturers as they are more articulate. Awareness about the current trends makes the designer more successful. At the same time, exposure to different trade shows make them more confident. A competitive spirit is necessary to create innovative designs and be competitive in the market. And then coming to apparel designing process, the first step in designing is to know what to design. What type of garments is in fashion today, that is available in the market? What kind of silhouettes, what kind of colors, fabrics, textures are in fashion? Little research into the market trends is always required to keep up with the time, and generally all the students and the other people will keep going to the shops to look at what is the current fashion and how are the garments in the market. And so, little research into this will definitely help the designer to know what is happening. And it is paramount to have the design focus and oriented towards the customer segment. Otherwise, the end product, however exquisite it is, it becomes a failure, because The customer, if he doesn't take what you make and what you produce in the market, and it will be of waste and it will be a failure, the design will be a failure. Generally, two seasons are identified for fashion collections such as summer and winter collections. The design process also referred as line planning, and that triggers at least 2 seasons before the actual selling season to facilitate the arrival of merchandise at the right time in the market. Fashion has attained a global appeal with a mass produced uniformity, and thus to initiate the process of line planning, the fashion designers follow varied forecasting sources to arrive at a range of garments with a global approach. Once the designer is ready with the required details, she should come up with a concept that is being fashioned by taking inspiration from the surroundings. Probably this part of the designing process may be most crucial, and generally designers take long time to come up with ideas and form a clear concept to begin designing. The designers may take inspirations from any object present in their surroundings. It may be a leaf, or it may be a flower, or it may be the colors of nature, or it may be a temple art, or a sport, or calligraphy, or any other entity in accordance with the fashion forecast. The designer may develop a mood board to converge her ideas to form a theme or concept. Let us see how these mood boards or inspiration that can be made in the form of boards. Developing a mood board may be a great fun to the budding designer to incorporate the results gathered out of the research that has been undertaken. It is a visual form of expression of the vision in the mind of the designer. In-depth study of fashion forecast services provide the line of action in this regard. For the designer, it is the first stage of organizing her thoughts and the collected images to channel her creative excitement towards a consistent and targeted design outcome. Mood boards are prepared by arranging the images and color textures, ideas on a large board and make a collage of all these images, and which provides an overview of the mood or the feeling it carries. It is necessary that it should carry the mood or spirit of the design, however complex it is, keeping the customer in view. Visual pictures in the form of maybe cutouts, photographs, or natural items are collected and pasted as per the conceived story on the board. While preparing the mood boards, the designer should be able to confirm the season and the color palette and accordingly prioritize the images. The designers take the help of computers and digital photography to prioritize the mood or visual expression. The lines developed in the apparel industry are often influenced by the size of the firm, the nature of the apparel produced, and the fashion orientation of the company. In large firms, merchandisers are responsible for developing new lines. Merchandisers plan the overall fashion direction for the coming season as they are in continuous touch with the customer segments. They instruct the design staff about seasonal themes, type of items to be designed, and the color palette. And then coming to the colors that they take up for this part line planning, you can call it as a color board. Color plays an important role, and all of us know, in selection of garments from the consumer's end. And the influence of fashion trends on the color palette is very much evident from the type of merchandise available in the market. Generally, designers obtain the colored paper or paint the exact shades following the Prang or Munsell color systems on paper and use them in the form of a palette. The dominating colors will also be indicated on that. It is better not to have more colors, especially not more than 8 colors. Addition of more colors creates lot of confusion and may spoil the flavor of the design. It is always better to keep the designs neat and simple. And then coming to the type of fabrics that we are going to utilize for this kind of design, and sometimes we can collect these things and put it up in the form of a swatch board. What is a swatch actually exactly? A swatch is a small piece of fabric cut from the fabric board to be a sample piece provided before making a final purchase. It may contain one repeat of the design, woven or printed or embroidered, so that it will give an idea of the suitability of the fabric. The designer with good knowledge about the fabric type, textures, especially drape, price, etc., can easily pick up the suitable fabrics from the market. However, to keep abreast of the changes occurring due to technological developments in the fabric field is paramount to the designer. If possible, it is better to collect fabric swatches matching with the selected color palette, as it gives proper visualization of the apparel design project. And then coming to the illustration board. The illustration board finally presents the clothing designs which are created by hand drawing or computed programs. These drawings are the first entities that fashion stylists and fashion buyers will look to make decisions for their clients. Based on the repetition of the company and the style of the designer and also the intricacy of the design, different formats are in use. Figure formats such as single figure, double figure, multi-figure and cropped figure are used by the designers for representing the developed designs. Single figure formats are popular in bridal and special wear. Double formats provide dramatic effect and also share a common theme. Multi-figure formats are good for mass wear, and cropped figure formats are normally applied for showing intricate designs. Generally, both the front and back view of the illustrations are done for complete visualization of the garment design. Coming to the type of patterns that we have to show, and these are called sometimes flats. Drawing flats is essential skill required for the fashion designers. Flats are technical drawings that can communicate design details, silhouette and the complexity of the design. On the design sheets, it is important to indicate flats or specification drawings. And specification drawings or specs, they are popularly called as, they are the small proportion drawings with measurements of the various styles furnished. It also contains details of construction lines, useful and relevant information to the production department of the apparel industries. By seeing this, the apparel production department will be able to come up with the original patterns required for production. And then we have to also remember the client for whom we are doing the exact design. And so, we need to know about the client, and so these details are being given in the form of a board that is called as a client board. The details of a client are paramount as the garment is made to the ultimate satisfaction of the customer. Details of the customer such as the age group, profession, fashion orientation, season, affordable price by him and the range in which we can produce these things should be known to the designer. More details may be required if the design is customized. That means, when we are doing it for a single person or for a person who is very good and who is conscious about their dresses, then we need to know the more details about him, his activities and other things, so that we can definitely do a design or a develop a design which can satisfy him. And then there should be a tag designing. Tags are being attached to the garments. They are designed with a theme and with a color board and with the swatches. The wash and care labels and the price and code of this of the particular dress. And the logos and labels, they are also designed to provide information about the name and other details of the company, and specific labels may be attached giving details of the size, the fiber content, care information, etc. So far, we are looking for the designing of these apparels which are used by all of us, maybe the aesthetics which are very, very important there. But designing functional clothing is going to be a different one. It requires a lot of creative abilities of the designer. Designing functional clothing starts and ends with specific user requirements. These requirements are dependent on the activities a person performs and the environment in which they live. It may be to provide comfort or make the customer warm in extremely cold weather, or provide protection against UV rays or against any impact, and or any other specific requirement of the customer. Designing functional clothing adopts a problem solving approach, wherein the designer has to consider the design as a problem, and the skills applied to solve the problem makes the designer unique. It is highly customized and complicated due to the specific requirements, which are sometimes almost opposite to each other, and coming out with a solution for these two, which are very, very opposite to each other, will be very difficult and very complicated. As per Coburg and Bagnall of 1981, the design process is a sequence of events which demands creative behavior from its participants. Its activity is to improve existing conditions and to find clear paths out of dilemmas. The designers work out problems in a variety of ways. They have their own ways of working. Even though designers use different terminologies, they all follow certain crucial steps or critical steps that cannot be ignored in designing effective functional clothing. The steps may be, first of all, acceptance of the problem. That means the customers will come with a lot of problems, and then the designer has to be confident in order to take up that particular kind of problem. Enthusiastic designers will take up the problem even though they do not have much knowledge before, but they refer the books, do some research, and then come up with the solutions. And definitely they will be able to be successful in that if they can do a kind of research into this and then take up the problem. And then analyze the problem in terms of its situation. Now, what is the situation in which the person is living, person is performing different activities? Then the designer should know about this one. Then only they will be able to analyze the problem. And sometimes if it is highly customized, then it is better the designer stay in that particular situation where the customer is staying. Stay with him for some 2 or 3 days and understand how the situation is, and then definitely they will be able to analyze what is the design problem over there. And then also they will be able to define the design problem. That is the third step. And sometimes defining the design problem is also very, very crucial, and there are so many things there, and how exactly you have to define the design problem is very, very essential. And then after defining problem, and what are we supposed to do? That is, we have to see how we can solve this problem. There may be different ways, because the technology is so much advanced today, and we have number of things that are available in the market, and number of devices to use and to make the design so much perfect to the situation. And so, you have to come out, the designer has to come out with a number of ideas, and then he has to take up the ideas and see and go through each idea and see how it is profitable, and keeping the customer and keeping the environment in which the customer stays in view. And then he can come up with these ideas, and then when he goes through or she goes through all these ideas, then they will be able to select the idea, and which is very much suitable for the particular customer. And then when the idea is selected, then you have to implement it. That is the next step. And then the fabric or the garment is made. The customer is asked to wear this particular garment, or you can put it on the dress form when the customer is not present, and then you can drape it on the dress form and see whether it will be able to be suitable for that particular customer. And then actually evaluating the suitability of the implemented design idea on the customer will definitely will give some more information, and because it is a live model and which we are trying, and definitely there will be lot of changes that when you take a dress form which is not a live model, and when a live model wears it, and there may be some problems that are coming up, and which can be taken up by the designer or pursued by the designer, and he will be able to definitely solve these problems. So, and the results of the evaluation may become the source of the information to refine the idea when next used. And so, the designers when they solve a problem, and they should not leave it, and they should be able to take it forward and remember these things, or they should be able to write it down somewhere, and so that whenever they have a similar problem, they will be able to refer to it, and they can start from that instead of starting from the scratch. And so, the designer should know and how to actually document these things, and then from each problem they will be able to learn so much, and so they will become a perfect designers.